All right. So what's up? So this is Built Not Broken. This is my channel. Today I'm going to tell you about the first time I got arrested, right? So I was I think I was 19, and we were driving down the road. My best friend had a Trans Am, right, that he had bought. It was black, and it was all tinted out and like had a huge sound system, and the windows were tinted, but they were like tinted super dark, right? So in Missouri, it's not illegal to have tinted windows, but it is illegal to have it tinted too low, right? So if it's too dark and they can't see inside, then that's illegal and you get tickets. So he had several tickets and he never got it fixed. I don't know why. But we got in the habit of whenever we saw a cop, we just roll the windows down real fast and we didn't get in trouble, right? So that was our big trick. But anyway, probably wasn't safe to have tinted windows driving around with drugs anyway. But so we were driving down the road and we were coming up on Mid Rivers Mall Drive, right? So Mid Rivers Mall Drive is like one of the main roads, and then there's Mexico. So we'd come over Mexico going towards the highway on Mid Rivers Mall Drive, and we saw a cop coming. And so right away we rolled the windows down, but I don't think it was fast enough. And so we made a left, and we went right past this McDonald's that I knew from growing up, and we got pulled over. And the lights went up, and he pulled us over, right? So we had just come from selling like a large amount, right? I think we had just selling like a half pound or something, right? So there was my friend in the driver's seat, another guy in the passenger seat, and I was in the back seat, right? And they had a digital scale from when we made the sale, but they didn't have anything else, right? But we had just smoked. So, and we smoked with the windows up, which is what we call hot boxing, which kind of means we like, with the windows up, we think that we're getting higher because the smoke is inside or whatever. So we smoked, but then when the cop came, we rolled the windows down, but it still reeked of smoke. And there's still like weed and like stems and stuff in the cup holder from when we rolled up, and then they had that digital scale. What I had my bag, I had a backpack that I would carry around, and that would have all the drugs, which is probably not smart to carry all that stuff on me all the time, but it was like, I had like an ounce of weed, I had some like split up into separate baggies, I had the extra baggies and whatever, all in this bag. So when the cop came up, right away he walked up to the door and he knew what was going on. He could smell the weed. He asked my friend, like, oh, we'll call him Mike, my friend. We'll call him Mike for this time. Hey, so where's this weed at? And Mike, like, didn't know. He's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And so they pulled him out of the car, and we couldn't hear what he was asking, but he was probably, like, asking, like, well, who has drugs, blah, blah, blah. And the guy get back in. And when he's out, me and the other guy, we'll call him, I don't know, Sean. Me and this guy Sean were talking, and Sean was just like, oh, I don't have anything on me or whatever. They can't get us just for a digital scale. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. I was like, but I have all this weed in my bag. He's like, well, that's on you. Basically, he didn't care. But right then I made a decision, if or when I got caught with this weed, I was just going to take it, like I wasn't going to try to rat anybody out or try to have any, try to cover it up. I was just going to own it. We got caught, and I'll take the repercussions. That's kind of just how the guy I am, but like it's in my head and my little drug dealer mind. I was like, oh, I gotta stand up for, I gotta take it on the chin. So Mike gets back in the car, Sean gets out, and Mike's like, I didn't tell him anything, so don't tell him anything or whatever. And I was like, okay, no worries. And I believed him because we're best friends. Now the other guy I don't know that well, and I don't know what he was saying. He could have been narking me out or whatever, but whatever. So the guy gets back in the car, and then I get out, and right away the cop's like, so your two friends just told me you have the drugs. I was like, oh, they said that? And he's like, yeah. And I know now that that's probably what all cops say to all people, but I was young and I was scared, and I was like, okay, yeah, I have it. It's in that bag. They have nothing to do with it. It's all in that bag. He's like, okay. So he pulls out the bag, and, he pulls out the weed. He's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of weed. And I was like, oh, it's not that much, whatever. But he pulls out the weed, and because he had, reasonable cause now, he pulled out the other guys and searched the whole car and found the digital scale. And when they found the digital scale, he's like, oh, is this yours too? And I was like, no, that's not mine. And then he's like, well, whose is it? Either you take responsibility for it, or it's one of your friends are gonna go down too. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll fine, it's mine. So I took responsibility for that too. And then he actually used the scale, the digital scale, to weigh the weed out to get me in trouble, right? To get me arrested. So, he put me in handcuffs. He let the other two guys go. He reads me my rights, and then he takes me to the police station. Now, the station here was in St. Peters, Missouri. It's a very small town. There was literally no one there. There was no cops, no nothing. So when we got there, he took the handcuffs off right away, and he's like, oh, don't worry. You want some water or something? We'll get you out of here really quick, whatever. So he started asking me questions. Now, when I'm sitting there, I came up with this ridiculous idea, okay? So about a month ago, a guy had been selling weed in the same area we had, right? And who cares? I mean, a lot of kills sell weed or whatever, but it was kind of in the same area that we were doing it. We'd always sell in Mid-Rivers Mall because that's where a lot of the people worked and a lot of people hung out and stuff. So it was easy for us to, sell and get rid of all this stuff, right? So this guy was selling like ecstasy and acid and stuff, but then he started selling weed. And we told him to chill out or whatever. Like, we're not a gang or anything, so we didn't like threaten him, but we're just like, we sell weed, you shouldn't sell weed, whatever. And he basically laughed us off, but then we had heard from other people that he was still selling, he was still saying he wouldn't stop, and we can't do anything about it, or whatever. And we really didn't like this guy, or whatever. So I came up with the idea that for me to get out of trouble, I could just say that I'm not selling the drugs, I'm just giving it away, right? Because I'm thinking, if no money's being transacted, then I couldn't get as much trouble, which is stupid because it's literally like distribution, it's distributing the weed. But so I came with this idea that this guy, we'll call him Tim was giving me the weed, and then I was giving it away to people like as samples, and then if they really liked it, they could come back and get it from him, right? And I don't know if the cop believed it or what, but I mean, he took it, and I write down the story. And then, all this stuff, it was like I was still kind of high. Everything was kind of in a haze. Even that whole time of my life was kind of a high, so I didn't take it seriously. I didn't think it was real, basically. And then the cop gave me a couple summonses, like, oh, you might want to get a lawyer. These are some court appearances or whatever. And they let me go. I called Mike, and then Mike came and picked me up. So when I walked out, Mike was sitting there in his same Trans Am with the windows down. And he picked me up, and we went back to his house, and we smoked some weed and laughed and joked, and basically thought it was, that was it. But that was not it, and that actually led to another really, really bad situation. But basically, if you like these stories, I'll be telling more of this, and this is not to glorify the heyday or make them look good. It's to show you how bad it can get, and then how you can change your life, because I want to go through stages of like how I started to how I am now, and hopefully some of you guys will find growth, So just remember, you guys are built, not broken. If you like, please comment and share and all that stuff. And yeah, talk to you later.